If you're in Seville, you have to see a flamenco show. They're amazing.
Can you believe this is the actual tomb of Christopher Columbus?
Here we go. Yum. As soon as we arrived here in Seville, we knew that our budget was going to take a little bit of a beating. This is a really exciting city with just so much going on. There are so many historic sites to visit, flamenco shows to see.
And don't forget about all that tapas in the afternoons.
I would never forget about the tapas. So all of these things are absolutely essential if you come to Seville, and none of it comes cheap.
Well, except maybe the tapas. Now, if you've been following our channel, you'll know that we're wrapping up 2 beautiful months here in Spain. We had an action-packed month in Valencia, so make sure you check out the highlights. And now we're coming to the end of our time here in Seville.
So you'll know that this is a time when we do our favorite type of video. We look back at all of our experiences in the city and we put a price tag on it. How much did we spend and what did we get for it?
And in the case of Seville, how much did we end up going over budget?
That's right. So we like to say about our travel style that we're not budget travelers, but we are budget minded. So we do like to strike that right balance between spending money and getting value. And Seville is a place where we feel we got a lot of value.
But before we get into all the juicy details, a big hola y buenos dias from
Nice.
Seville.
Very good,
If it's your
Gillian.
first time here, I'm Gillian and this is Stephanie.
We're traveling the world full time and trying to bring a little more adventure into your life.
Of course, we knew that a month in a city like Seville was going to add up very quickly. As soon as we arrived, we were almost overwhelmed with all the entertainment options. But for those of you sticking to a budget, there are actually quite a few things that you can do for free. Of course, there's the overall atmosphere of the city. It's easy to spend hours or even days getting lost in the historic center. We were also very happy to find that the Rick Steves app has a free audio tour of the city. These are only available for a few cities, and Seville happens to be one of them. So we followed the tour and learned the history of Seville's most important sites, the cathedral and the Giralda Tower. And the Santa Cruz area, which was the former Jewish quarter.
So if you love walking as much as we do, there's a wonderful walk down by the river. And then you can also pop over to the other side of the river to explore the neighborhood of Triana, which is just hopping with tapas bars, and more on that later. There's also the Park of Maria Luisa, which is Seville's largest green space. It has a very ornate building and just some beautiful water features. And that's about as far as we got with the free stuff. The rest of the things were pretty spendy. In fact, we did more stuff than we could really include in this one video.
We went into the Seville Cathedral, which is a must-see if you like really tall ceilings and a whole lot of gold. Actually, there's one very interesting reason why most people line up to get into the cathedral.
Can you believe this is the actual tomb of Christopher Columbus?
The other big site was the Alcazar. This is an incredibly stunning medieval palace with a blend of Christian and Moorish architecture. Now, in particular, I really enjoyed the gardens, where I found Mr. Peacock wandering around in search of his girlfriends. And there was one live performance that we absolutely couldn't miss.
If you're in Seville, you have to see a flamenco show. They're amazing. Now, we didn't just see the sights in Seville, we also spent a day in the city of Cordoba. And this city has a historic center that's just a maze of charming little alleys and beautiful buildings. In fact, we love Cordoba so much that we decided right away we were gonna have to come back and spend a whole month here. Of course, heading to Cordoba meant that we needed some sort of transportation. So we could have taken a train, but it turned out that renting a car was actually cheaper in this case. And for getting around in Seville, we also gave scooters a try for the first time. So my father was visiting us here for a couple weeks, and you can see that he really tried his best to get me on a scooter. Totally unsuccessful. but Gillian managed just fine. So that's entertainment, and the next important part of travel is, of course, dining out. And we did most of our dining out actually right here in our own neighborhood. So our Airbnb is located near Alameda de Hercules. This is a pedestrian area that's really famous for all the trendy bars and restaurants. To be honest, we really struggled with the Spanish hours for dining out. In fact, during our 2 months in Spain, we didn't end up having a single dinner out. And this is just because the locals eat dinner at a time when we normally go to bed. But this wasn't a problem because we focused all of our dining out during the afternoon tapas hour between 1 and 4 p.m. It is tapas hour, and we've come to a very atmospheric part of Seville. So this is the Santa Cruz area, the former Jewish quarter of the city, and it's lovely down here, so historic. Oh, here we go. Yum!
Espinacas
Ah,
y costillas.
gracias. So we've ordered 3 different dishes, although 2 of them look almost exactly the same, but I think they're going to be very different. So we'll start with the Iberico pork ribs with a few little fries on top. Then over here we have Iberico pork cheeks. And these have been stewed, I think maybe in like a little bit of a wine sauce, and they look absolutely delicious. And then finally in the middle, we have a dish that's very common here, especially in the winter. So it's chickpeas and spinach, and it looks really healthy, and it's a perfect antidote to having all this pork and all these fries. Wow, look how tender this pork is. Oh, it's really good. I love it. So we're having another tapas feast this afternoon. We're having 2 very classic Spanish dishes. So the first one is patatas bravas, and that is just fried potatoes, and they're covered with an aioli. And then the other dish is a sausage cooked in wine sauce, and the sauce looks amazing for dipping a nice piece of bread in. So let me have a bite of this delicious looking sausage. Oh, that's really good. Oh. And our third dish has finally arrived, and it looks delicious. So it's fried eggplant covered in honey. Oh, so good. The eggplant is so hot, and it's almost like it's buttery and melting inside the little fried casing. And let's not forget about all the yummy snacks.
Well, we've seen a lot of empanadas around since coming to Spain. These ones in particular looked amazing in the window, so we decided to stop and have a try. Wow, this is so cute, this packaging. And I'm gonna give this one a try. It's the carne picante. Well, we couldn't come to Seville without trying the churros. Now, the type that we got today are different from the ones that we had in Valencia, which were the small, delicate variety. These ones are big and fluffy and puffy, and the chocolate, it looks creamy and delicious. All right, let's go in for a taste. Oh, wow. Well, I enjoyed the ones in Valencia, but I think these are even better. These puffy ones are delicious. Of course, we couldn't eat tapas for every meal of the day. We still needed to do some cooking at home. Now, you saw me doing a big shop at the Mercadona on our first day here. In between those big stock-ups, I would just pop across the street and grab a few essentials here at the Carrefour Express. And I have to say how impressed we've been with the quality of groceries here in Spain. There's always fresh baked bread, often it's still warm from the oven, a decent range of produce, nice free-range eggs, and any other essentials that we might need. Now, it might cost slightly extra to shop at the Carrefour, but you really can't argue with that convenience. Our place is less than a minute away. In fact, I think it's about time for us to go take a look at the apartment.
So through a lot of trial and error, we figured out that the thing that really makes or breaks our visit in a city is a location. And our Airbnb here in Seville really hits all the right notes. So we're close to the Alameda, which is of course that great restaurant area that we've been going to so much this whole time. We're also really close to the main site. So we're about 20 minutes walking from the main attractions in Seville. And that's really just long enough to work off all of those tapas that we've been eating. And finally, we're close to the river, which has been a great spot to walk the dogs. But of course, the most important thing is what our Airbnb looks like on the inside. So let's go inside and take a look. Okay, here we go. Come on, Jessie. So here's our apartment, and as you can imagine, we've been pretty happy with it. These windows are just so charming and they really give it that historic feel. The living room is well designed, so there are lots of those stylish little touches everywhere, and it's pretty spacious. Definitely enough room for our morning yoga. So the kitchen is really modern, I love that. Lots of counter space and all of those appliances we really like having. So we did end up paying a little more than usual for this place, and that's because it has not just one, but 2 bedrooms. So as I mentioned, we hosted my father for a couple weeks and we needed a bigger space. And if you want the full in-depth tour, you can check it all out in our first day in Seville video.
So let's talk costs. In some cities we visited, it's easy to get pretty far on a shoestring budget. Well, we found that Seville just wasn't one of those cities. Sure, we could have had fewer tapas, not gone inside the cathedral, or not gone to a flamenco show, but I kind of feel like we would have missed out on some pretty essential experiences. These are the reasons to come to Seville in the first place. We did end up with our most expensive month to date, but we're not worried about it because we'll know that we can balance it out over the course of the year. And that's the beauty of slow travel and going from low-cost countries to high-cost ones and then back again.
So with that, let's see what the damage was for a very spendy month in Seville. So our entertainment came in at $118 US. Those flamenco shows do not come cheap. Our transportation came in at $85, and that was to rent a car for a couple days, get a couple Ubers, and even try out those scooters, whether successfully or unsuccessfully. Dining out was $365, and we actually thought that was surprisingly affordable since we were dining out basically every other day. Our groceries came in at $400, and finally our Airbnb. So this was the item that really sent our budget over. It came in at just over $2,200, and that was for a 2-bedroom apartment when normally we would have a 1-bedroom apartment. So the total amount that we spent for a full month was $3,200. And we thought that it was totally worth the spend. In fact, we knew right from day one that Seville was going to be a very memorable place to spend the month. This is a very, very charming city. So if you missed our first day video, you should definitely check it out by clicking on the link right here.